Good afternoon and welcome to this afternoon's webinar on SmartAds. This afternoon I'm going to be taking you through the new SmartAds product and showing you a little bit about what it can do and how quick and easily you can actually get it integrated into your game, plugged in and showing ads. So the first thing I'd like to tell you about SmartAds are the different types of ads we support. You can show interstitial ads in your game or rewarded ads and video ads. And the SmartAds platform is a mediation platform. So we're connected to over 30 different ad networks, and it's optimized to deliver the most valuable ads for your players. And that's continually, the waterfall's continually adjusting and optimizing itself to make sure you're always getting the best ads for your different players. It's a fully managed service, so that's why it's essentially so easy to integrate, and you get paid each month, single check from us that aggregates the revenue from the different ad networks. We're connected into people like AdMob, Vungle, Mobfox, Flurry, etc. And we also have connections to ad networks, so hence why we're over 30 ad networks. The starting point for integrating SmartAds into your game is through our SDKs, and we'll actually take a look at that. I'll take you through the integration process and show you how quick and easy it is. The SDKs we support are our iOS, Android, and Unity SDKs. The SmartAds functionality is built into the latest versions of all of those. So the starting point will be on the SDK download pages. And once you've got SmartAds integrated into your game, you will automatically be able to display SmartAds and have dashboards like the one on screen at the moment automatically will start populating with the results from your ads. So you'll be able to see not just how many impressions you're getting each day, you'll be able to break it down by platform, by ad type, whether it's interstitial or rewarded ad. You'll be able to drill into it by ad network and see the kind of estimated CPM for each of your networks. So you can actually drill into the ad revenue in a good bit of detail. And so there we go. There's an example of where we're actually even starting to segment our players into different player segments and look at the payouts that we're getting from different ad networks relative to that. So that's a kind of really quick 2-minute overview of what SmartAds is all about. We're not an ad network ourselves. We're a mediation service, so we can pick and choose the best adverts for your game from a variety of different networks and save you the hassle of having to try and open up accounts and integrate all these different SDKs. We'll just give you one SDK, make it nice and clean and simple. So the next thing I'll do is I'll actually show you a little bit of how that works. So let's jump across. If you have watched one of the previous webinars, we did one last week on getting started, where we actually took you from ground zero to creating an account on deltaDNA, adding a game, and then getting data starting to flow through that. If you've not already seen that on our documentation portal, if you go to webinars, it's right at the top of the page called Getting Started. But to recap where we're going to start, let's go to the Download SDK page. And for the purposes of today's demo, we're going to be playing with Unity. So we'll just click into the Unity SDK page. And with our latest SDKs, so that's all the version 4 SDKs, when you actually go to download them, it's going to take you off to our GitHub repository. All the SDKs are public up on GitHub, so you can download them, have a look at the source code, see how they all work. And we're going to be referring to this README file that actually contains, it's just a couple of pages long, but it actually contains everything you need to know to get you up and running. So the first thing we need to do is actually install the SDKs inside our game, start the SDKs up, and then start requesting some ads from the networks. So the first thing we'll do, let's open up Unity. I've got a completely brand new and empty Unity project here. So let's just start importing our stuff. Let's import the standard SDK. And the way the SDKs are packaged, we have our standard analytics SDK. So you've got to put that in first. That's the core. Everything needs that. So that's just for sending all your player event data up to deltaDNA so you can run all your analysis. So first things first, let's get that plugged in and running. So we'll just import everything from there. And whilst that's importing, we'll jump back to Unity. And here's the game project we actually used in the Getting Started webinar. If you watched that, you'll know how to start up the SDK. If you didn't, the easy way is just to follow the breadcrumbs back to the root of your game. And you have your different development and live environments. Let's pick up the boilerplate sample code for starting the SDK. Let's just copy that code. And back inside Unity, we're going to add a game object. So let's just create a new game object. And we're going to add a script to that game object, and we'll start up the SDK from within that script. I'm calling this my behavior, but you can call your script absolutely anything. So just open up MonoDevelop. It'll take a second or two just to load up. Let's give this a second. Nearly there. Here we go. So we're going to just replace all of that code with the code we copy and pasted off the deltaDNA website. And from one of the other things you'll have seen me do in the Getting Started webinar, we want to turn up the level of logging on this, so just so we can see what the SDK is doing in a bit more detail. So let's just do deltaDNA instance, set logging level, and we want to set it to debug. And we always want to know, when we're recording events, which build of the game the player is actually running. So let's fill in the client version parameter. So instance client version equals 1.00. So if I run that now, that's kind of where we left off at the end of the Getting Started webinar. So if I just run that and watch the console window, we'll see that the deltaDNA SDK has started up, issued a nice new anonymous user ID for a player, and recorded a new player, game started, client device event, then uploaded those, and the upload was successful. So that's getting started. That's integrating the deltaDNA SDK. To get SmartAds up and running, there's a couple more steps we need to follow. So the SDK, as I said, is split into two parts. We've already loaded up the core package, the analytics SDK. So the next thing I want to do is add to that the SmartAds SDK. So this is just the package that we downloaded from GitHub, but this time we're going to import the SmartAds Unity package. So we'll open that, and once again we'll just say yes to everything. We'll import it all. What we've actually got in here, we've got the core code, we've got some Android and some iOS build code, and then a whole bunch of plugins for the different ad providers that we could be using. So let's just drag it all in for now. And there we go. So what we'll actually see, we've now had this deltaDNA ads SDK added. In there is an example file. So we'll take a little look at that. Let's take a look at this ads demo and see what's in there. And some of this will look familiar because this is the startup code, not entirely dissimilar to what we've actually used. So we've got setting the logging level, set the client version, and there'll be an SDK start. Lower down there is this SDK starting. The next thing the ad demo is doing is actually requesting that we register for ads. So let's just pinch that piece of code straight out of there, and we'll use that in our own example. So let's go back to our example, and after we've started the SDK, let's just register for ads. And it doesn't know yet, it's upset at that, it's not sure what that's all about, so we need to tell it that you want to be using deltaDNA ads, and that's happy now. And what I'm also going to do, as well as just registering from the ads, in our normal game we would have things triggering the ads, like when the player's at a certain point, when we want to show an interstitial, or when they've clicked a button and asked to watch a rewarded video and get given a reward. But for the purposes of this demo, we're just going to add some buttons of our own in. So I'm just going to pinch this whole method out of the example code and pop that in there. And what this is going to do, it's going to put 4 buttons up on our screen, 2 of them for interstitial ads and 2 of them for rewarded ads. And there's 2 ways you can run the ads. You can either just make a call and say show us an ad, or you can use a decision point, an engage campaign decision point, that rather than just blindly showing an ad, will actually use the engage campaign system to check if this player is actually eligible to be shown an ad. So that actually lets you start doing some really, really nice stuff where you can start targeting your ads. So if you have particular players who have paid to turn ads off, or they are active in-app purchasers and you don't want to put ads in front of them, then you can use the engage system, say, right, don't show those guys ads, but let's show these other people ads. And if you have people that you've identified through your analysis that they're maybe actually never likely to spend money with you, but they are enjoying the game, then by all means use the engage system and target them very specifically for ads. And you may even want to do things, we've seen this done quite often, is actually tuning the frequency of the ads and how often you're showing ads to different player groups. So that's why we've got 4 calls in there. 2 of them are for interstitial ads and 2 of them are for rewarded. And the differences are, the first 2 are just showing the ad when we tell it to. The other 2 are using the engage campaign system to see if the player is eligible for an ad. And the if statement we've got round that is basically saying it's doing a little check to see, have we actually got an ad available at the moment? Because you don't want to have a rewarded ad button and the player press it and there's not actually an ad sitting there waiting for them. So the SDKs will pre-cache the adverts for you, and so when you hit the button they're ready and they're sitting and waiting. So let's just save that and we'll pop back into Unity and we'll see what happens. So let me go back to our scene, and we better, let's just save this, actually save the scene. Save scene as start scene. Double check that's in there and run it. And I should have cleared the console, but there we go, there's our 4 buttons. At the moment these are all grayed out, it's not working for us. And the reason for that is actually, it will be revealed in the console here. It's saying SmartAds isn't currently supported in the OS X editor. Yep, that's quite natural. The ad networks don't really think that I'm going to be buying anything or of any value when I'm inside the editor. We're going to have to build this actually on a device and run it on a device to actually be able to see any adverts. So I'll show you kind of what that looks like in a moment, but it's something we're going to have to do before we do that. So we've got our scene saved now. So what we can do is we can go into the build settings menu and actually choose what platform we're going to build for, whether we're going to build for our iOS device or whether we're going to build for Android. And depending which of those we choose, there will be some things we're going to want to do. So there's going to be all the absolutely normal bog standard stuff, like giving your giving your game a bundle identifier. You should probably have all these already set. There will be some other bits and pieces, but let's refer back to our GitHub page, because there's some good guidance on there as exactly what we need to do. So there we go. So we've gone through this bit. We've got our SDK started. We've downloaded the SmartAds part, integrated it, and registered. And we've seen that there's some methods kicking around there. We played with a couple already in those buttons to see if there's an ad available, etc. Before we actually do the build, there are a couple of things we need to keep in mind though. The different ad networks all have their own display libraries that we need to download and integrate. And as we said, we're integrated with over 30 different networks. You may have some preferences as to which networks you include or which you don't include, and indeed they will change the size of your game build depending how many networks you want to use and how many of these display libraries you drag down. It will ultimately have a size effect on your game. So the recommendation is you should always use more than one network to make sure that you, regardless of where your players are, you've got a better chance of having your ads filled. Whether you want to use all the networks that we have in there, that's entirely up to you. But basically what's going to happen is when Unity comes to its build process, it's going to have a look and see which networks you want to be using, and it's going to download all the right libraries and build all that into the final app. And the way we do that, on iOS builds we use CocoaPods, and on Android there is a Python script to run, and it will, these two scripts will essentially go and download all the correct libraries from our repository behind the scenes. So if we look at this, it's saying for iOS, it's dropped a file into the editor folder for us. So if I go into Finder and go back to my desktop, where's our project? It's not even in this folder. So we'll look at this one. This is where I can't actually even remember where I saved project. It's not there, it's not there. I wonder if it's in here then. Yes, there we go. So inside our webinar folder, if I go to Assets, deltaDNA Ads Editor, for iOS there's a pods command file, and inside there it actually specifies which of the ad networks we want to support, and you would then run, you'd basically install that pod file and it will drag down all the relevant bits. For iOS, for Android rather, similar thing. We've got this configuration JSON script, and it contains the list of which networks we want to drag down, and a Python script that we want to run to essentially grab all those bits and build it all up. So I'm not actually going to go right through that process, but I'm going to show you the end result, because that process on my little Mac of doing all that building, it's going to go away and think about hard, difficult things for 10 minutes. So I don't want to do that. So what I will actually do, rather than running that right now, I'll switch across to this, and I'll be able to actually show you the same app, or almost the same app, with that running. So here's my iPad connected up, and here's almost the same app. So let's just launch that. And this time I've got an engage image campaign running there. So there's my 4 buttons, just exactly the same code, same buttons. We have the interstitial ads and rewarded ad. You can see this time the buttons aren't grayed out, they're actually fully filled in. So if I just hit the interstitial ad, there we go, and I can close that, and you see the button's gone grayed out. That's it gone away looking for its next ad. It's now got its next ad and it's ready to go again. For the rewarded ad, let's click the rewarded ad, and a nice rewarded video ad that we're going to have to sit through for a minute or two. And basically what's happening behind the scenes, the ad is playing, and with a rewarded one, there's going to be these callback methods inside the code, so we can actually see. Let me just jump back to here. If we look inside here, you'll see that we have 3 different callbacks for when an ad was opened, when it failed to open, and when it's closed. And there'll be a Boolean parameter inside the close to tell us if they've watched, if the player's watched far enough through the ad to actually be rewarded. Likewise, we've got callbacks for the interstitial ads. So that's essentially how you plug it in and get it running. And on the engage side and inside the platform, let me just click back to this one, I believe. So if I go in here, what I'd be able to do inside my SmartAds dashboard, it's not going to be populated out. It's probably going to be sitting empty in this case because we've not actually sent any ads on this game build. But there's all our charts and dashboards, and once I've got ads flowing, they'll look something like this. So I'll have a full page of charts that I can analyze with my SmartAds and see how many ads I'm running a day, which networks are performing the best, and you can then start using the Engage campaign system to tune your ads and make sure you're showing the most valuable ads to the right people, or excluding segments that you don't want to show ads to. The final point, the SmartAds this is our latest SDK. This is our version 4 of our SDKs. On this Unity one, the Unity one, this is designed for Unity 5. So if you're going to try and use it with 4.6, that some of the build stuff is going to get awkward. So definitely recommend, this is designed for Unity 5. So we'd recommend you running the Analytics SDK will run in Unity 4 or 5, but the SmartAds one is specifically designed for some of the new features in Unity 5. Keep your eye on the documentation portal. There will be some tutorials and more details going up on SmartAds in the coming week or two. And as always, if you have any questions, you can use the help button here takes you to the documentation portal. The support button will open up our support links. So if you do have any problems with the SmartAds or any questions, just give us a shout on that support button or from within the documentation portal, which I've closed the window for, I think. From within the documentation portal is the same support buttons, or you can simply email us support@deltaDNA.com. So that's SmartAds. We have some new SmartAds features that we're probably going to be rolling out very soon. So keep your eyes open as well, because there will be an updated, even better version of this video showing some new tricks that you're going to be able to do with SmartAds real soon as well. Thanks for watching. Speak to you soon.